Okay, it's been a while since I made the other video, and I want to show you the progress I've made on the knife so far. What I've done is I've finished grinding the blade, and I've left a little area here that I'll sharpen after it's been hardened. I put some cut ends at the point of repose of the grind. I added a false blade on the back right here, and I added some filing on the blade, on the back of the blade. This is a modified vine, and hold it up here so you can see it. And I won't give you an instruction on it, but I'll show you quickly how it's done. I put it in a vise, and then I put marks with a pen at equal intervals on the blade, and then I take the round file and I cut alternating circles into the side of the blade, one on this side, one on this side, and then I come in with a triangular file and I cut on an angle between each of the circles, and then I file the edge down between that and the circle. Hold on, a truck's going by. I can do another video showing how to do file work, but that would take quite a while. Okay, I also filed in some thumb notches, so when I'm holding the knife, that's where my thumb lays, because if it was on this vine, it wouldn't be as comfortable. This is better for traction and everything else. I sanded both sides of the entire knife, and like I showed you before, this is a leaf spring. Okay, hold on. Figures a garbage truck goes by. Okay, this is what the leaf spring looks like, just to remind you that this blade is made out of. And I decided on the handles. It's going to be white corian. And the way I get this handle material, I take a 4" by 4" sample of corian, which is 1/2 inch thick, which you can get from DuPont. You can see it's on the side of the thing. I'll show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like as the sample. It's 1/2 inch thick, 4" by 4", which works out good if you're going to use a front bolster or a rear bolster or both. Corian's virtually an ideal handle material. It's really hard, but I can still cut it with the jigsaw. I just go real slow, and it'll sand, and it really looks kind of like ivory or bone, but I can get it in a bunch of different patterns. And this white, you'll see when the knife is done, is really ideal. Now, the other thing I'm going to have on this knife is I'm going to have steel bolsters, a steel front bolster. I'm going to let the rear of the handle go all the way down to the rear of the blade, full tang, and it'll look like this. I just cut the rough shape out, and then I'll sand it. Once I've attached it to the blade and the blade's been hardened and tempered, I'll attach it to the blade and I'll sand it down to the final profile. It's a 1/2 inch thick each side. It's going to come down a lot, and I was going to narrow the blade back to the rear. I may still do that, but I haven't made up my mind yet. It's a lot of work. Even though it's softened, it's still steel. Okay, here's the bolsters. I cut them out of the same stock that the blade came from. I super glued them together. I rough cut them with a hacksaw, and I've started sanding them down. See, once I've got these profiled so they're identical, which I'll do by sanding them up on the sander and doing a little grinding on the grinding wheel. Then once they're identical and they're pretty close to what I want, I can pop them apart with the vise. You know, put them on the vise and hit them with a hammer and knock them apart. Super glue will come apart. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind these and sand them, and then we're going to rough fit everything into the blade, and then we're going to harden the blade and temper it, and kind of see where we're going with this right here. It's going to actually swoop right through here, and then we'll one of these will be on each side, obviously, and then we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to work on these. I'm going to grind these, and I'll come back to you when I've got these pretty close to their final shape. Okay? Okay. What you're looking at here is the knife blade inside the toaster oven. Give you a wider view. What I've done since last time I saw you is I've gone ahead and finished filing the blade, and I've drilled the holes for the pins and the lanyard hole, and I've heat treated it to harden it in the fire, which is the same process I went through when I annealed it, when I softened it the first time, only this time I dipped it in oil to harden it. And then I brought it in here, cleaned it off a little, and put it in the toaster oven at 400 degrees for 90 minutes. And I've opened the door here, and there it is inside the toaster oven. And what I'll do is I'll let this cool off, and then we'll bring it out and we'll clean it up. It's nice and tempered now. It's hard and strong, and we'll go from there. Okay, here's where I'm at right now with the knife. I went ahead and put the front bolsters on, and I put 2 steel pins in each one. The bolsters made out of the same steel as the blade, only it hasn't been hardened, so it's still annealed steel, so I can work it, sand it, and it needs to be polished. Sorry for the dirty fingernails. My original 2 handles, when I decided to underride the bolster, ended up being too short, so I had to scrap them and use another piece of corian, which is not white, but it's a off-white with like a granite pattern in it, and I cut those on the jigsaw and sanded them 45 degrees, on the 1-inch belt sander. And I put some red fiber material spacer on the backs and let it dry overnight. So I have a spacer underneath the corian, because that's what this is, corian. And that was epoxied and left dry overnight. These bolsters were epoxied and pinned and clamped and let dry overnight. So these have a little bit of work left to do to them. But I'll get those cleaned up after I put the handles on. So what I did is I went ahead and with the drill press, I underlaid the handle on the blade, and I marked the holes where the pins are going to go. I'm using tie wire steel for the pins. It's really hard, and it is this right here. I don't know if you can see it, but I've already put 2 pins into the bolster and sanded it quickly. You can see that they virtually disappear in the bolster. They're hard to see. Once it's been polished, they're almost impossible to see once I put this on the polishing wheel. But my next step is to put the glue the handles onto the blade and then let them dry. What I'll probably do is put these handles on this morning, and wait till either tonight or tomorrow morning to start working them, to give that a good chance to dry. Now you can see that I take the drill and I drill out some indentations in the handle part of the blade. That's so that my glue epoxy has something to fill in, and I found that is a very good way to get a good bond. I'll do the same thing on these. I'll take and I'll drill some indentations in between the pinholes, and that creates a super bond. You won't be able to see it from the outside. Once this is ground down, all you'll see is the red spacer and the handle material and the full tang blade. So I'll go ahead and I'll start getting ready. I'll drill the other handle, and then I'll get ready to glue these together. I got to cut me some pins off this tie wire to use. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins, and this lanyard hole is going to be left just the way it is. It's going to just be a hole through the corian. I may sand the very edge of it to smooth it, and that's it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get started with that, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I've glued the handles on with the pins to them, and with the red spacer underneath the front bolster at the 90-degree angle, 45-degree angle rather. Let's see. And now I'll wait till tonight or possibly tomorrow morning, and I'll go ahead and take the clamps off. I'll check them in about an hour to make sure they're not being epoxied to the scales. I'll take them off and then put them back on again, maybe with a little piece of paper under them, and then I'll start working the handle, and that's when you'll see me again. Okay, I'm back. Excuse me. Look, what I've done is I've taken the clamps off and I've rough sanded the handle, and you can see what it looks like. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to finish sand it, put a nice polish on the corian. I'm going to put a mirror finish on the bolster. Now I taped the blade up. That's to protect it while I'm sanding, because I've already got a mirror finish on the blade. So it's always a good thing to keep in mind. And also, if your handle material can be discolored by buffing, you need to tape that too. I'm not sure. I'll have to do a test on the corian to see if it'll absorb the buffing compound, but I will do that before I try to buff around it. Otherwise, you see a pretty good idea of what the knife looks like. The steel pins, lanyard hold through the corian. This corian is beautiful. Okay, I'll come back in a few minutes when this is totally ready and done. Okay, here we go. I think I've got it pretty close to being finished. I polished it up, put an edge on the blade, and all that's left is to put my name on the blade. And I believe I'll be doing that with a laser. I've got a new contact, someone that has a laser that I hope I'm going to be putting my name on all the blades with. Okay, there it is. Feels great, looks great. Best knife I've made so far, without a doubt. Nothing even close. Looks good, feels good, sharpened up, sharp as could be. Everything looks good. Got a red spacer under the handle. Beautiful corian handle. This is the knife right here. Alright, that's the end of this section. And when you come for the next section, I'm going to be making a sheath for it, a leather sheath. And then after that, I'll be making a display box. So I want you to come back and watch while I make a sheath worthy of this knife. Alright, I'll talk to you later.